This session we will talk about compliance and software compliance. Two modules available to us in compliance. One is an OS or operating system compliance, and this module allows us to simplify the process of adding a license. It allows us to add in our license numbers and software amounts, and then it will manage and validate and check that we're actually complying with that license, i.e. we don't have too many installed, we don't have too many people using it. We're able to identify non-compliance very simply. Also, the software license compliance helps us manage individual software licenses, do a reconciliation check, and check that we are legal. We're checking it against configured software for a particular unit. We can reconcile and check, do we have the right amount of licenses for the amount of software we are using. To do this, to do operating systems, we go down into settings and compliance and the OS license repository, and we add in the name of the license and the amount of the license. To do software compliance, we're in the same place. We go to settings, compliance. We can also in software create software groups and group software together. Our way of thinking is to do it individually against an individual piece of software, but you have the ability to do both. We can go to the license, we can either add it in as a group or we can add in our software license repository individually. You can see on the screen we've got Adobe Reader X, we've got software, we've added the license in, and once we've done that, we'll be able to look at our compliance screens later to check we comply with installations and usage. We also have the ability to create IT policy compliance. So again, we can check, are we doing what we need to do? And to do that, we go into settings, compliance, baseline rules, and we click on add. This will be displayed in the video later. They work like a safe search. We can use them for reporting, for inventory filters, and also for any task node selection. In this example, we're going to talk about software compliance. To start it, you've just seen the slides. We've talked through the slides that you've seen in PowerPoint. Let's go in and do this. We click on settings. We go down within asset and inventory management to compliance. We select it. Menu driven down the side here. We've got OS groups, we've got software groups. I'm going to leave these alone for a minute, but what it gives you the option to do is to bundle either operating system or software groups together. For example, you could put all of your Microsoft Office together. The discussions we had internally was we think it's better to maybe manage individually rather than as a group. That's why I'm going to go straight down to OS license repository and click on add. When I do that, I've got a screen that asks me what is the operating system. Now in our environment, the databases that we've scanned, there's only one, and it happens to be Microsoft Windows 7 Enterprise. So I'm going to select it. And once I've done that, there's nothing else to do. We click on add license. We need to give it a rule name, so let's call it Microsoft OS. I'm going to select from the drop-down list, I'm going to select OEM license. I'm going to populate the license count with 10. There's no expiry. I don't need to bother with a base license count or an upgrades license count. What I can do is determine for which organizational unit I want to monitor. But for this example, I'm going to go across the whole estate. And at that stage, I click on add. Before so, just to explore additional information, I can capture information that may well be of use. If it is, type it in. If it's not, no problem. We click on add. And I'm now going to monitor my 10 licenses of Microsoft operating system. I click on save. I'm finished. While I'm here though, I'm going to do and monitor an individual piece of software. So I'm going to click on the software license repository. And in this example, it's not an operating system, it's individual bits of software. So we've done some Cisco, we've done some project. What I want to do Let's click on Add, and I'm going to pick a piece of software of Adobe Reader 8. Again, I can describe it if I wish. I can consider all codes of that software. I can consider if it's as particular versions of the software. I do want to consider it as software, and also I'll add a default of consider as a patch. And in 95% of all cases, those two options will be fine. So we can leave that as is as default. I click on Add License, and it asks me, what's the rule? Well, I'm doing Adobe 8, so to make my life easier, I'm going to call it Adobe 8. The license type again, if I click on the drop-down arrow, it's going to be an OEM license. I have 3 licenses of that product. No expiry, no base, no upgrade, pre-shipped, organization count is good, no other information, I'm happy. We click on Add, I click on Save. I'm now monitoring my 3 licenses of Adobe 8 Reader. I've created what I have to create. We'll revisit IT policy compliance rules later because there's an extra setting we've got to do, so we'll come back to that in a few moments' time. So what I want to show you now is has this worked for Adobe Reader 8 and Microsoft operating system. I've gone to Inventory and Compliance, and when I go Inventory Compliance, what you see is a compliance dashboard, which shows me what's going on. It also shows me any OS compliance. So when I click there, it shows me that Windows Enterprise was pre-shipped. We are compliant. 5 are installed. We have 10. We have 5 left. Seems to me we're okay for Windows 7 Enterprise licenses, which is good news. If I click on Software Compliance, presently I've only got my Cisco and my Microsoft, but what I can do is click on Check Compliance just to give it a refresh. And if we're lucky, our new Adobe 8 Reader has come through. It's pre-shipped. Oh, compliant status. We have none installed. We have 3 licenses. We are good. Cisco Connect. Looks like we've got a bit of an issue here. We've had it installed in 3 places. We only have 2 licenses. Software Asset Management have breached, so we now need to investigate why, who's got it. So what we can do here is we can click on the software, and we can view and see the laptops that have that installed on. So we can now export that and do some investigations to find out why those 3 laptops have got not illegal software, but we've got it installed too many times.